Hello, everyone. My name's Jennifer Wiebe, and I'm your Make It Safe host today from the Manufacturing Safety Alliance of BC. This morning's panel is a follow-up to last year's popular Women in Safety session, and this year we've invited a new panel of female health and safety professionals to share their own career paths and where they've found support and mentorship to support their personal health and safety journeys. So it's my honor today to introduce our moderator, a dedicated mentor, a friend to so many in the industry, including myself. She was introduced and inducted last year into OHS Canada's Hall of Fame. She's been honored with the Queen's Jubilee Medal, and in her long career, she's been a trailblazer for women in OHS leadership and a real force for workplace safety and mental health. So please join me in welcoming Maureen Shaw.
Jennifer, thank you so very much. And thank you everyone for joining us today. We've got an absolutely dynamite panel of female leaders in health and safety. So I just really want to get going because we have 1 hour and a lot to talk about. So I want to take the opportunity to introduce our panel today. We have Tanya Tang. We have Brianna Hall. Tanya, by the way, is the manager of health and safety for ICBC. And welcome, Tanya Ty, pardon me, I just mispronounced your name and I do apologize and I did know better. We have Brianna Hollick, who's the site health and safety advisor for the Factors Group of companies, and Lana Schultz, who's the corporate director of occupational health and safety for Interior Health. So a great variety within the sectors here in British Columbia and a great deal of experience at various levels. So firstly, Tanya, would you just tell us a little bit about yourself and a bit about your journey?
Absolutely. Can you hear me okay? Maureen,
great, you're doing great.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that introduction. And don't worry about my name. It's Ty, and almost no one ever says it right the first time. And I'm very used to it. But yeah, I've been in the safety field for, it's getting on to be 19 years in February. I started off as an emergency responder, level 3 attendant when I was a camp cook in Nunavut, actually. And so from there, I just took an interest in safety and I got recruited into different kinds of positions and I started to increase my education. I've worked in private, public sectors, both. I've worked internationally. I spent 3 years in South America. I got to go to Ethiopia, Africa, and again, now I'm back here in BC, basically leading a team of amazing professionals. And so I'm excited to be here and to chat about the work we all do.
Thanks, Tanya. And Brianna, could you just share a wee bit about yourself?
Sure. Hi, thank you for having me today. I'm really excited to be part of the panel. I've been working with health and safety as at least some element of my job for I think almost 18 years now. I started off in construction temporary staffing and then into construction and then ended up in manufacturing after taking my CSO and OFA. And in manufacturing, I started out making gas fireplaces. And now I have worked for Factors Group for about 2.5 years. So I went from making gas fireplaces to multivitamins and other health supplements. So very, very different aspects of manufacturing. So that's me. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks, Brianna. That's exciting. And Lana.
Good morning. I'm Lana Schultz, and my career did not start in safety. I did not even know I would even be here. So I started out in the education field. There was a position that was posted to help develop a violence prevention program in healthcare. Violence in healthcare. Really? Is there such a thing? Anyway, as we all know, there is. And so 16 years passes through, and I have subsequently obtained my safety education as well, along with other credentials. And so with that, I have moved between an advisor role to leadership roles of manager, and now I'm currently the director. Interior Health, for those that don't know, is we employ about 27,000 employees directly with 7,000 contracted partners in a geography just under half of British Columbia with over 300 sites. And so with my team of just under 100, we do help to improve health and safety in healthcare space. And so I've entirely been in healthcare, so I appreciate learning from all the people from other industries.
Yeah, and I mean it's really interesting how we sort of can make that transition from one industry to another and can and grow in our fields and how they're all interrelated. So, you know, I've been around a long time. I've been in health and safety. I think I started somewhere around 1982 before many of you were born. And the role of women in health and safety has really evolved from those days where there really were no women in leadership roles and very few women at all in health and safety and very little in the way of educational opportunities. And certainly mentoring was not really something that was available to most of us. I'm just wondering how you and most of you have been around 20 years doing your work and evolving the profession and the role of women as you've gone. I'd be interested in knowing how you have seen the role of women in health and safety evolve during your journey. And maybe we'll just start with Brianna.
Before my current role, I worked in very male-dominated industries, construction and manufacturing. And you know, I don't know. I'm sure a lot of you out there have seen that meme that's on the internet of the woman standing on a construction site with her shiny hard hat and her pristine white blouse, and she's holding a clipboard, and it says, "I don't know what you're doing, but my book says you're doing it wrong." And I was terrified of being that person. So I remember when I first started to go out there, before I even went out in the field, I got myself a gray hard hat and I peeled a bunch of old orientation stickers off of older hard hats, found myself a pair of used old banged up steel toes and went out on the site. And like, if I didn't know what I was doing, I at least wasn't going to look like I didn't know what I was doing. I don't think that I would have worried about that so much if I wasn't a female going out into the field. And then I noticed as well when I went into the site trailers, you basically, in order to make any kind of headway, you had to just put up with the dirty jokes or crack your own and deal with a lot of kind of passive, just joking type misogyny to create any allies where you were. It was definitely an asset if you could pull off a solid "that's what she said" joke. I learned. And this kind of separate yourself from the HR element that makes people not trust safety people. But if you risk expressing that any of it was unprofessional or unwanted, you felt like you're going to risk losing the allies and cooperation. So that was
Exactly.
really hard. Um, I think as a safety professional, as women, a lot of the time we're thought to give no consideration to production or profitability because our book says you're doing it wrong. I think in this day and age, attitudes are changing towards women in safety roles, but I also think we have a lot more work to do to shift the attitude of we can't treat women this way because we're not allowed to anymore, to one of more why would anyone treat anyone that way to begin with? That makes sense. I think the younger generations are going to achieve that because their standards for what is acceptable is vastly different than previous generations.
Brianna, thanks. Anybody like to jump in and add to it? I saw Tanya nodding her head.
Yeah, I've been in those shoes. And I do agree that things have changed a lot. And then we got a lot of work to do. And as well, that kind of balance that Brianna's talking about, where you're not trying to become part of the problem, but you're trying to become part of the culture. And you don't want to lose your allies by, you know what I mean, by becoming that thing people are afraid of. They're afraid they can't be themselves and this type of stuff. But you also don't, you know what I mean? You want to help shift things. And so I hear you, Brianna, and I'm glad to see where things are going. And also just thank you for everything that you did.
Yeah. Lana, what has your experience been like?
So mine's a little different because, again, remember I'm in healthcare. So healthcare is predominantly women. it's a field. Though having said that, the safety teams aren't necessarily. I have seen a shift where it was predominantly male in the safety team and grown to include many, many more women, which is really great. And then I think the other shift, though, within healthcare was a senior leadership shift to include more women. Yes, we have them more in healthcare, but we still predominantly had in the past largely male-dominated senior leadership. So from my previous mentors that I had and other directors in this field that were females, it's been really great to see the equity of the voice at the table in being inclusive of the female voice. And so I've noticed that shift.
Yeah, I really particularly noticed that over the years that we're seeing more, and I must say that it makes me very, very proud, and to be able to say that I'm seeing more and more women in leadership roles in health and safety, but women that are taking on not just the leadership role in health and safety, but executive positions within our organizations that include health and safety, and helping to train other executives in their responsibility and their accountabilities in health and safety. So I guess I would like to say that I see hope. Do the rest of you see that as well? Yeah. Yeah. And I think, that's we tend to want to talk about the things that still need to be improved, which we need to do. But I really like to really focus on the hope for the future. So, Tanya, do you see some particular challenges that we continue to be able to challenge us within your industry?
Yes. And I just want to build upon the hope, because I believe in having a positive outlook in our field in health and safety. I think you have to, because we focus so much on what needs to be improved. We've got to look back, and we've got to celebrate those successes and look at where we've come from. And so, Maureen,
Yes.
I really appreciate you sharing that history and what you're seeing change in the right direction. It keeps us motivated.
Right.
Now, on that note, talking about the challenges. Yeah, I've worked in a variety of sectors, and my observations on this topic are varied as the industries that I've worked in and the folks that I've worked with. One of the reasons I moved into the public sector from the private is I wanted to experience working in a highly regulated environment. I wanted to have robust policies around respect and around safety, and see what that felt like. And it certainly did feel different. There's been a lot of progress, as I've said, made on this, and we've still got work to do. Whether you're in the safety profession, in workplace in general, or frankly in the world, gender equity, gender equality, it's a work in progress. And so in safety, specifically, I would say I've experienced some challenges around what people think of when they think of a safety professional. And I think I've worked in some environments where I didn't quite fit that bill for whatever reason. I think my uncle is still perplexed that anybody will listen to me on health and safety because I don't match what he thinks of. Even if I put on a hard hat, I'm not quite it. So I think that when I would run into someone that has that perplexed look on their face, and I'm hearing the questions that are behind that look, which is, who are you? Sorry, what are you doing here? And what is it? What do you do? Especially in mining and mineral exploration. And I'm going to say back in the day, because I haven't worked in that industry for over 10 years, and I know a lot of things are changing. But yeah, the central question I ran into in mineral exploration was, okay, you're obviously not a driller. So what can you tell me about my job, honestly? So to face that type of challenge, this is the approach that I took. Own what you don't know, right? You just own it, right? No, I'm not a driller. I've never done this work before. And frankly, it doesn't have to be in mining or mineral exploration. Every job I go into, I'm a learner. So I take the stance of being a learner in every situation. When I worked in K-12, every classroom I went into, I'm here to learn about what this expert in their field can teach me. And frankly, that's the really fun part about being a safety professional. I'm sure it's this fun part about being an accountant. You can apply that to every single industry, every single role, every person you meet. And so the other thing I would say is acknowledging what I don't know, that I have endless things to learn, acknowledging that people are experts in the work that they do. And I think really people love to tell you about what they do. They love to teach you about what
Yes.
they do. And so I think showing an interest in learning and an appreciation for their work, that's been my approach. In explaining what I do, for me, it's sort of basically explaining that I'm just here, and every job I go into, I'm learning about that job and I'm trying to figure out how I can support them and how I can help apply the regulation to support the work they do safely. And the last thing I'll say about challenges, including this challenge about, finding yourself as a woman in maybe an environment where you don't quite fit what people think of when they think of workplace safety, is that in every challenge, I believe there's an opportunity, and figuring out what the opportunity is in any situation and finding a way to leverage it in a way that enhances people's safety. This is very motivating, and it's frankly what's fun about my job. How's that?
Gosh, that was absolutely fabulous. I mean, there's so many things that come out of what you just said, and I, personally, I can relate again as well. I remember as a young woman being an advisor to a minister on occupational health and safety in Alberta, and having to go and visit in the oil patch, and of course nothing fit me, and I'm 5'2". So here I was with coveralls that had to be rolled up 10 times at the bottom and at the top, and trying to not let those kinds of things intimidate or make you feel less qualified for the work that you were doing, and often feeling like you're being patronized. So those days, fortunately, are sliding into the past, but we do need to remember them. You're absolutely right. Would anybody like to jump in on that? I would really love to hear some of your comments. Lana or Brianna, do you have anything you'd like to add to that in your particular
Sure.
sector?
Thanks, Tanya and Maureen. I think that was really great. The piece I was thinking about as you were talking was, the times have being sort of dismissed or not taken seriously. And so really learning along the way of how to align safety priorities with those of the organizations. And so utilizing the business side and demonstrating that we will increase compliance with business successes at the same time. And then increasing in our world, it's always focused on the patient. And so it's safety for all. What's not safe for them is not safe for us as well, and vice versa. And so really utilizing a different approach, and then showing successes and then being taken more seriously. But it did take a bit of work on the front end to build those relationships and create that understanding that we are serious and we're there to move things forward for all of us in those places and spaces.
I totally agree about the relationship building. It is so important. It's so key. Maintenance people are your best friend when you come into a new role. I've learned that. What I like to do when I come into a new role is assume that I know absolutely nothing. And most of the time, I don't know anything about what's going on for those specific processes. I think it's really important to spend a lot of time just being a super sponge, just kind of lay back, observe everything, figure out the processes. I think it's key to figure out, like, even if you see things that maybe aren't adhering to the regulations, try to figure out why things are the way that they are before you jump in and try to start changing everything. I think that's
I think
really
we're just
important.
So hoping to back people won't say that. Are we all back now? Brianne, I'm sorry, you were cutting in and out a little bit, but I think we picked up on some of your key messages about, and I'm sure you've all found this too. The best thing is to stand back and to listen and to observe, and that applies to almost any position we might take on, but particularly so, I think, in the health and safety field. I was just thinking, as you were some of you were commenting, was the changes too in education and the kinds of education that people are now able to receive in health and safety, which wasn't the case before, which really helps with the feeling and the knowledge of being qualified for what you're doing. Because in historically we'd sort of been learning as we were going, and now there are much greater opportunities, not just for women, but for everyone to advance their education and to be certified as a professional in the field. So I think that's really great. Lana, I wonder if you could just comment for us on how you see organizations better able to support the development of women. Are they doing that? Are we better supporting leadership development in women in our organizations?
Thanks. So I think I'm going to speak that I've been very fortunate to have lots of opportunity in this space through my organization. And so I'll just talk a bit about what I've been able to participate in, and which has really, I hope that other organizations are doing. So fostering professional development and growth opportunities. And so I was supported by my workplace to become a board member and take time out of work for Women in Occupational Health and Safety Society. So that was a piece that they helped to support. Participating in workshops like this that highlight and highlighting leading women in these spaces and places. Also looking at enhancing DEI, work-life balance, psychological health and safety. I think all of those pieces help to support all of us, but specifically can also help with females in organizations. And having organizations who highlight successful leaders within female leaders in this space within their own newsletters, or promoting them outwardly or provincially or in other avenues. And then also I have been fortunate enough to be supported to present in conferences. So going to conferences to showcase and highlight the successes of and not necessarily about presenting as a focal point of being a woman leader, but being a leader within the space, and then just having that equity of voice of being a leader. So I think there's lots of ways that organizations can do that, and I've been very lucky to have that within my own organization. So again, I think it's about creating space for the opportunity to highlight how we can enhance those things that we bring that are uniquely ours as women to those spaces, and highlighting them, and then helping support each other to grow in those spaces, coaching and mentoring and guiding those younger, newer females that are entering into the safety space.
Which is just a great segue. Thank you, Lana, very much into our next sort of section of this morning's panel on, and we're going to move into mentorship and community. And so I'd like to see us talk for just a few minutes about mentorship, and which is such an important component of our individual and collective success and growth. And I also believe that it's a responsibility that we all share. So let's just have a chat about that. Brianna, where have you looked for mentorship and community support on your own career path?
Well, when I was in construction, I was going to various sites, and a lot of the time I would be dealing with the CSO / first aid attendant on the site. And when I first got into it, a lot of those roles were women. And I would watch them in awe as they owned those roles with confidence. They would give back any guff that anyone was giving them on the site. I think that a big thing was that a lot of these people, or these women in these roles, were not afraid to get their hands dirty. Like if they needed to go and pitch in with something on the site, they would go and do that. And that really helped me developed my kind of let's go and see attitude, rather than trying to run safety from my desk. So I think that was really important. And then coming into factors was a huge game changer. Went from kind of being an island all my own in terms of safety to, having a team that was almost comprised entirely of women, and my manager is a woman. And so that was huge. That made a huge impact for me in terms of mentorship and support.
Gosh, that's just really great. Thank you very much for that. Tanya, do you have anything you'd like to add to that?
I think for me, looking for mentorship and community support in my own career path, there are a lot of women leaders in safety compared with when I first started. So I do have an incredible network of colleagues that I work with. I'm really big into the use of LinkedIn, and whether it's in the safety field, in the disability management field, or just in the professional workplace in general, I really do cultivate a lot of different relationships with leaders and women in the field that I respect, and I value their opinion. The other piece that I would say is I've always worked with career coaches. And so it happens to be, I think I've worked with 4 different coaches since I began, way back in the 90s, and they all happen to have been women. So I'm not sure if that's something that I'm seeking out, or if it's something that's special that they can bring to the table. But I have to say, every major step throughout my career forward, I've worked with a career coach in order to really work on my goals and really expand in the areas that I need to develop and I need to grow in order to move forward with the next thing. So that's been very, very helpful for me as a woman in the field.
So 2 things I sort of taken that. I really like your idea of the use of LinkedIn as a platform for engaging with each other and mentoring and supporting each other. And I'd be interested if anybody has any comments they'd like to put into the chat box, whether others have found that that's a useful platform. So thank you very much for that. And it's also interesting that there's a lot more women doing coaching now. And did it help you with deciding whether this was the right profession for you to be in?
Yes.
Was that how you find out?
It's helped me with everything. It may be that earlier in my youth, I was an athlete, so maybe I was used to that style. But realistically, it's a matter of having an objective person to help isolate what you're really doing well in, and the gaps that you need to fill in order to get on to the next step. And just having someone there to, like an accountability partner, and one who's there to hold you to your own goals and cheer you on when you get there. I found that to be extremely beneficial. And I work with a coach right now who's phenomenal. And so, yeah, I recommend it for anyone in safety or not, a woman or not. But I certainly have utilized that throughout my career, and I will continue to do so.
And I find that really, really helpful. Thank you, Tanya, very much for that. And Brianna, would you share an experience where mentorship has played a pivotal role in your own personal and professional development?
I would definitely say very, very recently in my career. I mean, my manager, Michelle Lothing, last year, she won the Apex Award for Safety Excellence, and I get to talk to her every single day. So I can't think of a better mentor to have in my back pocket than that one. And just having someone like that at the helm has really helped me grow into my role very confidently, just knowing that she has my back. I mean, I come to work in this environment and I don't even consider for a moment the fact that I'm a woman anymore. And that's huge. And part of that is how she runs the team. I'm very lucky.
I think that's fantastic. And yes, you do have a great role model there. Lana, would you like to add to that?
Yeah, again, I've been really supported to have both informal and formal mentoring and coaching, both at the interior health level and then provincially as well. And so they've been pivotal in my professional development, and maybe not so much in my safety expertise, because those mentors weren't safety experts in the field, but they did help to look at how to move professionally within the organizations, et cetera. And so were pivotal in me, I would think, in obtaining my director role. They helped to guide and coach me, and to continue to pursue and moving beyond the director role, which is within, I hope, my future. And the other piece, I think, from a safety, though, I've been very lucky. Our health authorities in British Columbia are very much connected, and so we provincially meet monthly as a safety leadership group, which is comprised of women as well, not solely women, but there are women there that I get to also see them as they move and grow and shape safety for healthcare in this province. And so I've been very lucky that way as well to be able to benefit from their expertise.
So how about yourselves? Do you find yourselves having the opportunity to mentor others? Tanya?
Yes, sometimes. I have worked with several women in health and safety, and I even have a fabulous health and safety professional on my current team. Here's what I'll say. We mentor each other. I think I'm a little bit uncomfortable maybe calling myself a mentor or a mentee. It's a shared conversation. And so what I will say is I believe in sharing in health and safety, right? Like, you know, I know there's some ideas around proprietary information, but I really feel that we need to pay it forward. And so if there's a resource that you have, if there's, you know, something cool that you've built, I think it's okay to kind of show it and share it. And that comes back to you 1,000 times over. And I think that being really open, supporting each other with what we know, what we've learned, what we see, what we're struggling with, and just you can find those little kernels of advice. And so for me, I hope that I'm a mentor to other health and safety professionals. I let people know, you know, very openly what my journey's been like. And I would just encourage other folks to not be scared or not to kind of hold their cards close to their chest, but just to understand that we all benefit from that open engagement in the work that we do. The work that we do is so important. It makes people safer. We never know what we've been able to prevent. And so by just being able to help someone else, realistically, you never know what that might have led to. And I feel like having that attitude, so many gifts have come from me. And so I have women who, you know, maybe I'm dealing with something, we often dealing with things that are very serious in the workplace, and we don't necessarily, you know, we need to preserve confidentiality and that sort of stuff. But when you can connect with one of your colleagues who's been there, it's everything. So I hope that's helpful.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, thank you, Tanya. Absolutely. I mean, you know, there's very little that is confidential in health and safety. Some specific things within your own organization, but health and safety really should be a collaborative community where, you know, outside your workplace you're able to gather with people from other organizations and collaborate and share issues and solutions to issues. And I'm hoping that we would be able to move really more toward that. And that's the kind of reason I love these kind of panels and the kind of work that MSA-BC does with their conferences, is it brings people together for that opportunity to be able to collaborate and to share and to grow together regardless across industry. I believe it's critically important. So, you know, how do we do that?
Sorry, can I give one example? Sorry, I thought that was pretty like, okay, how about COVID, everybody? Like when we're dealing with COVID, all the safety professionals across the province, across the world are having to go, oh my goodness, I need to come up with all of this stuff. And it's a novel situation. I mean, Lana, you can speak to this. I was in K-12 and we had a leader of a major school district, a fabulous woman. I consider her a mentor. She's fantastic. Reach out to all the school districts and say, hey, here's what we're rolling out. Take what you need, right? Like use it, build off it. It was everything at that moment. It was everything. And we all made it our own. And so that's the thing, holding it and saying, well, no, we made this, we put the resources in, this is ours. You know, it does what it can do for your organization, but it could be so much bigger than that. So that's really what I mean.
And I absolutely the most perfect example. Thanks, Tanya, because if we could just sort of maintain that kind of community, build on the community that was created during that time, how much better we would be, not just as health and safety professionals, but as a much larger community. Just a perfect, thank you very much, Tanya. And so building on that, talking about connecting and creating supportive community, where can people go to if they need to have support, if they're stuck, if they're having problems? Like, is there places, or do we need to create that? Other than LinkedIn was a good example, but something maybe a bit more touchy. Are there places, Tanya, Brianna?
I think that Lana was just talking about safety associations in her industry, and I've really benefited from that type of thing. Like in the school district, we had SSABC, and it's certainly not restricted to women, but there's a lot of fabulous women on those kind of panels.
Yes.
LinkedIn has all different types of opportunities to join groups and find out about events that are going on. And I would also say sometimes they're not necessarily only safety specific. Just like here in the Make It Safe conference, we have things that go along the lines of claims, disability management, and things that are part of safety, but they're part of a whole other world, whether HR or other things. So I think there's lots of opportunities to dive in to communities where safety in one way or another is addressed. And yeah, I'll let everyone else chat for a bit.
Yeah.
I think
Brianna,
just
do you have some
building.
thoughts?
Yeah, and you're totally right. All those different avenues, those associations, I think even our own, for instance, work safes within our provinces, they host pieces and workshops, etc. The Canadian Standards Association, there's lots of places out there. I think if one is looking outwardly to try to connect, maybe they're not coming at you. I find what's really valuable, I sign up for all the free email newsletters. So things pop in all the time, and I have them in a box. I don't want to get inundated, but I put them in a box. And when I have time, I go through, and then it's, oh, okay, there's a good workshop. Or what I love to do also is I share it with the team and say, is anyone else interested? I think this would be great if someone's interested. And so I try to use those opportunities, not just for myself, because I go back to the part where you talked about doing things together. So, I don't professionally mentor anyone, but I maybe am helping coach, but really equally more important is they coach me. So the people that I work with on a daily basis or even just on a weekly basis, they help lead and grow me into being a better leader within this space and learning more about safety. I don't try to know that I know everything. So I think we equally all bring different bits to the conversation, and we do it in different ways too. And that's what I appreciate about diversity amongst the team, amongst each other, and how we can contribute to the conversation to create the safest space that we can.
So I'm wondering as well, thanks very much, Lana. I'm sort of wondering as well that within the profession, we do have professional associations like CSSE and BCRSP and so on. Is there opportunities there to create maybe a women's mentorship group in some of those other organizations? I don't know, it just sort of came to me as we were talking, like if I was a young person and I'm looking at sort of as we move forward with this panel, that, out there watching and listening and hopefully learning a bit from us this morning, I think it's probably a number of students who are wondering about where they go, whether they've made the right choices, where can they get some support and some help with whatever it is that they're studying at this time. And so, it could be a challenge for them to figure out where they can get that, they can get together with other people. Is there groups that women can come together with?
I'm not.
Doesn't sound.
I'm not.
Maybe that's an agenda.
Yeah, I think you may have just begun one.
I know of one.
Okay.
Of one. So the Women in Occupational Health and Safety Society, they do have a mentorship program that's within their program. So that is one avenue that we do have available. It was started in Alberta and is now a national, internationally association that has membership from abroad and then works from within their membership to provide mentorship opportunities. So there's one.
That's great. Thank you very much. Thank you. And if you think of any more, stick them in the chat and we'll be able to share that with all of the people that are participating this morning. Okay, so all of this has been fantastic. So I'm wondering if you would share with us a key piece of advice that you might be able to offer to young women considering health and safety as a role, as a profession, who may never have considered it. Starting with Tanya.
My one piece of advice I would give to any woman starting in health and safety, and I would give it to myself years ago starting in health and safety, is to bring your genuine self. And I think that honoring who you are and bringing all of your gifts, all of your strengths, all of your uniqueness to the role only benefits the folks that are working with you. So again, I would just say, be true to who you are, and recognize the value, the unique value that you can bring into the field when you're working with folks.
Okay. I think that's very, very good, very, very good counsel, Tanya. Anyone else like to jump in? Vanna, do you have some thoughts?
As I'm multitasking and getting the WASH link for everybody for the mentorship piece, mine is build your toolbox. Don't say no. I'm always open to saying yes to everything. I might not like it after. I might not continue to do it. But if you don't say yes and have the opportunity, then you'll never know. And so I call it building the toolbox, and going down a path and figuring out and having that opportunity, as you never know who's around the corner. I enjoyed the chat. I was looking in the chat. I hadn't looked before. And hi, Stephanie, and hi to my team. Some of our team were able to join today. So it's really exciting, I think, to just always be open for opportunity.
Thanks very much. Brianna?
Just kind of relating a bit back to what Tanya was saying about the pandemic. I think that during that time, safety professionals became a lot more valuable. I mean, the employers were having to write exposure control plans and updating it every week. And a lot of them, I think, thought, hey, you know what would be really great if we had a whole person that was in charge of this. So that being said, we're in a position now where we can be picky about where we work. And that's a piece of advice I would give to women. Because even for me, just a handful of years ago, my day-to-day was vastly different than it is now. And picking a place where the culture is what you want to be involved in, where you feel like you fit in, that's really important. And also, I would say, I think we still out there spend a little bit of time dragging our fellow women down rather than trying to lift them up. And I think coming away from this, we need to just remember, when we're dragging each other down, we don't get anywhere. That's like taking poison and hoping the other person gets sick, right? But when we combine our forces, we're no messing around, I tell you.
You're here.
And
Brianna, thank you. Thank you for saying that. We have to lift each other up. We have to support one another. Thank you so much for that.
Yep. And just spoke to the music that this panel came on with. And thank you for that music, by the way. It was fantastic. So we're getting near the time when we're going to open it up for questions and answers. And so people might want to start to put some questions, and I think you may already have. But I would, just as we're getting ready to do that, perhaps I might just ask each of you, is there one thing that you would like our audience to take away from this conversation? What might that be? Let's start with Lana.
So much has already been said. I was like, what do I pick out of this? I think is learning from each other, supporting each other, and again, just being open for opportunity. And I loved it. I kind of had this, we got this. So appreciate that we have each other, and we can only get better and bigger going forward. So amazing where we've come from, and I think so amazing where we will go.
Thank you very much, Lana. Brianna?
Honestly, I think I would probably just exactly echo what what I just said for a key takeaway from this.
Thanks very much, and it was eloquent. Thank you. Tanya?
Sharing is caring. I think that's the key thing, is that, you know what,
I
like,
love that.
put your fabulousness out there, the real you, and share what you've learned, the cool things that you've done. Who knows where they'll go.
And be eager to learn, and to show that you still, you're open and willing to learn a whole lot more, and to share what you've learned. I think you're all absolutely fabulous. And I think my takeaway from this conversation this morning is just how blessed we are to have so many women that have come into the field. And I really believe that women are really suited to this field, if there is such a thing. And I really believe that, because of who we are and what our values are and what we care about, that we do a damn good job in this business, and have been for a very, very long time now. And so I want to really thank all of you very much. And we're going to have some questions come forward. Let me see what we've got here. I'm just going to read off the side of my screen here. It says, one question is, are there plans to do an entire conference on women in safety for manufacturing, or safety in general? I think there has been a couple, actually. And Lana, you might know more about that, from the Women in Safety Group have been doing some national conferences. And I know I was invited to speak at one of them when I first got started a couple of years ago. I haven't sort of kept up with where that's at. Might have a bit more information.
I don't know of anything at this moment, but yeah, they do come out. I do think, out of the plethora of conferences out there, there are only a few of them. But I think I put the link in the chat. And so hopefully maybe through there, or even asking them, they may be able to also point you in the direction of other organizations. There's big organizations out of Australia and out of the UK as well that focus on women in safety. So they may be able to help you with that.
Yeah, so we'll talk to MSABC about that. They might be interested in partnering with another organization, or taking it on themselves. Because I think there's still a lot for us to all learn together, and I think there still are challenges out there that women are facing in our workplaces, and not just in health and safety, but yes, certainly in health and safety, and the fact that it affects the whole organization if we're not being treated, and we're not in the way that allows us to be able to undertake our roles appropriately. Let me see, where are we? What is the biggest safety challenges as a woman in safety roles, and how did you overcome it? I think we've really talked about that a lot, but I know I started off and say to myself that the biggest challenge I faced was proving myself as a woman, and having the confidence, building that confidence to do that. I was blessed that was primarily men that mentored me, because there were no women, and so I was blessed that way, that I had one or two men that were great at helping me and giving me the confidence to do the work that I did. I'm sure some of you have had those experiences too. Anybody want to jump in on that?
I think it's a piece we talked about earlier, with just that equity of voice, and just that being seen as an equal and being serious. I think that the appreciation more now that though our responses, our voices, our sharing may look or feel different than some other people, it's the same amongst ourselves, even just as all females or all males. It's that the roundedness of different perspectives and different approaches, and being seen as equals that come to the conversation to contribute, will have a more well-rounded approach to safety in our organizations. And so just moving past that piece of not being seen as an equal.
Right. Okay, next question. What about small business? Oh, good one. This is where, in my view, the real challenge is often smaller organizations don't have or don't want to give the room for mentorship and growth in the safety realm. How do we get small business engaged and see the benefit? That's really a much bigger question in my view than just women in health and safety. The challenges of small business are real and are complex. I might suggest if anybody on the panel has a better answer than mine, please
I'm happy
jump
to
in.
speak to it.
Okay, Tanya, please do.
I know we're going a little bit beyond just women in safety here, but I get that unique businesses have unique challenges, right? And I've worked for small businesses. I think what you need to do is think about right sizing your solutions, right? Like actively listening to what is happening for them, what they're worried about. Is it limited resources? Looking for the resources that are available to support small business that are designed for them, and understanding that need to kind of have a differentiated approach. I think that's it, taking some of the fear out of it. And I think a lot of health and safety is about getting people to something that they can it's bite size.
Mm-hmm. The other thing is that, as I've said, small businesses have some complex needs they're quite different than large business. And often people are working on their own. They don't have someone that can mentor them. And I think one of the roles that I know MSABC and other safety associations and organizations take on is to try to bring together small business and to educate them together as a collective in a collaborative environment. And I think that doing more of that is going to be very helpful in creating the kind of culture in those organizations that is conducive to people's health and well-being. I think that, and I think again, go back to that COVID, that the kind of things that happened during COVID, people coming together, happened very much in small business and in community. So we need to continue to grow and to learn from those opportunities. The question is to identify who some of those organizations I was talking about, such as Canadian CSSE, which is the Canadian Society of Safety Engineers. Hearing. It's the kind of organization that brings together health and safety professionals, not just women. But there is an opportunity, I think, within organizations that already exist, without creating new organizations, to bring together people who have like needs and like interests to talk and collaborate on issues. So women coming together, I don't know that we need to create separate and segregate ourselves. We want to be part of the whole. At least I think everybody here does. And so coming together within existing organizations and helping them to be able to better serve those members that they have, I think would be a really good challenge for someone to take on. I don't know what the rest of you think, so please jump in. I see smiles. Okay, well then, let's see. Different perspectives, different views, different mindsets can help us through differently. Diversity is good. How do you fix issues when people still think the same way they did in creating those issues? I'm not sure how to answer that one. Anybody have some thoughts around that?
Not a great thought, but a thought. I think about just keeping the conversation going. So keep growing, having the conversations maybe shaped in a different way, providing more education, more awareness, growth, inviting people to have some of those challenging conversations sometimes, or uncomfortable conversations, to better understand, so that then one can help them to better understand. So I think it's really about the conversation and relationship building. So hopefully through relationship building and conversation, there will be a small shift. It may take a while, but a small shift. I work in an organization that's like the Titanic, but we have seen safety shift. And yes, to COVID, thank you. Employee safety did come up alongside patient safety, which was really great. But just always having those conversations and keeping an open mindset and working towards a bigger vision and a bigger goal.
Thanks very much, Lana. And some of this is generational. As someone of an older generation, I can honestly say that, and I can see that we're evolving. The younger generations coming in are much better. I won't say educated, but certainly their values and their sense of where, they're telling us where we're at and where we need to be going. Young people are doing that. New employees are doing that all the time, every day, and it has presented some challenges to some organizations that have been sort of run in the same way for years and years and sometimes generations. So I think again, hope. I think I see it very much evolving to where we want it to be, and that is to ensure that we all are respectful of each other, and see that while we can have different views about issues, it does not reflect itself on how we treat each other. Thoughts? Okay. Well, there we are. I think I may have missed one. Would we be willing to role play how you might respond when someone says to you, "You don't know my job. Why are you here asking me to follow your safety procedure?" This is so often a challenge to both female and male safety professionals.
Okay, I'm going to tackle this one because I know I brought up, "You don't know my job," and we've all heard it. So this is what I'm going to say. I believe, and sounds cheesy, but I believe in turning naysayers into yay-sayers. So for me in this situation, it's going to depend. It's going to depend on really what's the wisdom behind the words, what's going on for this person, right? Is this just, I've approached this the wrong way? Is this, I've triggered the change management resistance? This is frightening for this person. What's scary about it? So what I'm going to say is, if someone's saying to me, "You don't know why are you here? What do you mean if I can't do this?" I need to stay curious. What is really happening behind what they're telling me, right? This isn't about me. I'm here as a resource to them to help them. And that's the key piece here. So I would likely change the subject by saying, "Hey, okay, I hear you. No, I'm certainly not here to tell you how to do your job. I'm here to learn about your job and to support you. So help me understand what is your what I'm seeing is some frustration and some challenges, and we're not here to make this more difficult. If we do this right, it's supposed to actually make it easier. So help me understand what's happening for you." And doing some active listening. I believe in flipping the script. Brianna's nodding. Brianna, I know you've went into this.
Yeah, I've definitely seen this before. And I mean, what you've said to do in the moment is like, totally agree with that 100%. The other thing I like to do, especially in a newer role, is if you've got a bunch of safety procedures written and you're still not even sure of the process, I like to sit down with an experienced worker and say, "Hey, we should review this. Do you think anything should be changed? Do you feel like this is effective?" That way you're immediately just getting the buy-in with the collaboration. And as I think everyone's kind of pointed out, especially I think Tanya, they know that job the best. They're the ones doing the work every day. So if you can sit down with them and go through it and find maybe there could be some improvements in the safety procedure. And the best ideas come from them.
The best ideas come from them. And that's the thing, Brianna. If you actually change the safety procedure, something that doesn't need to be in there, that gets on their nerves every day, or your resource a glove that they can feel through and made the job better, now you've recruited someone. We're all safety professionals. That's the key piece. The person you're talking to is a safety professional. Let them teach you about what their work is and see how you can help make it better, support them in making it even safer, even better, even more efficient.
So here we are. We're at the end of an hour. Can you believe an hour has gone by so incredibly fast? And what a wonderful way to end it. Thank you all so very, very much. I just really want to say thank you to you all, and how I'm just so excited by what you are all doing and where the future is going. And I'd just like to say a couple of words. We've talked this morning about where we've come from and where the issues are today, and how we might be able to mentor. And we've come just so far in this profession, and I have, as I've already said, such hope in the future. So if you're out there and you're just beginning your work in health and safety, you're doing something that really matters. You know, you've chosen a profession where you're really going to be able to make a difference in the lives of people, not just in our workplaces, but in our communities, and helping business to become the best that they can be. Our families, our communities, they don't know it, but the work that we do really makes a difference to each and every one of them. So you need to support each other. And we've talked about that. And it's not always easy to be able to reach out and say, I need a bit of help. But we all need to do that every once in a while. And we need to be responsive to those people and be able to respond in a very hopeful and caring kind of way. We need to support each other to make our workplaces safe places for everyone to be, for the whole person to be, not just part of the person. The work is important to our society, and you know, it's a passion. Anybody you talk to in health and safety, that they're passionate about the work that they do. They're passionate about the purpose of the work that we do. And it matters to each and every person. So thank you all, panel members, this morning. You've given me that great hope for the future. And I know that the future is in really great hands with all of you there. And thank you to all of you for being online and taking the time to listen to us. And I hope we just managed to share some things with you that will help you through your day or week, or even on your journey toward becoming a health and safety professional. Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.